Hi, I'm Blark257, and welcome to DASHDANCE, the show where we look at where Melee has just been and where it's about to be. There's a lot to get through this week, as is typical with the week after a major, so let's begin with the retelling of said major, CEO 2018. On home turf, Hungrybox and Plup were the projected winners finals players, and both made it there. Hungrybox dropped a game to both Gutsu and Mewtwo King, and nearly another to Mewtwo King's Puff in a strange turn of events, but got the 3-1 victories into winners finals, and Plup played what started as a close set with his fellow panda, Zane, before pulling away in Game 5 of winners semis to grab his spot with Hungrybox. Plup went Fox, and following the recent trend, could not keep up with Hungrybox, taking a game and nothing more, and going down to losers. And speaking of losers, the winners semis players had mixed results down there. Mewtwo King was able to take his win over SFAT without a hitch, as SFAT continues to have issues with top Marths, but Zane, after going up 2-0 on Wizrobe, lost one of the stranger and more tense sets of the year, even approaching the level of the set played by these two at Genesis, and finished 5th after getting to winners semis in the absence left by Leffen's dropout of the Melee competition. In losers semis, Mewtwo King did something he had already done while eliminating Wizzy from winners earlier in the event, and did roughly the same as Marth against Wizrobe as with Sheik. This adds to the question of the relevance of Mewtwo King's Sheik, but no matter, as he won again, 3-1, before going down to Plup in losers finals. In Grands, after losing Game 1 as Fox, Plup decided to experiment, and went Sheik, and was able to pull out Games 2 and 3 against Hungrybox, but was blasted away in a 4-stock in Game 4. Showing impressive recovery and resourcefulness, Plup managed to close out Game 5 with Zelda, though only for the finishing blows of course, to get the reset. This time, Plup stayed Sheik, and as he has done so many times, Hungrybox adapted and ran him into the ground, finishing his 3-0 with a 2-stock to be crowned champion of CEO. This set was representative of almost the entire tournament, which in large part, and for virtually all of the top 8, took very interesting paths to rather unremarkable conclusions, although the remarkable conclusions and games that were present are definitely worth talking about. First off, we have someone making a debut in the major top 8s, none other than Lod, who took the opening left by Leffen all the way to winners quarters with a win over Cyrox. He could not dent Zane, but in losers, Lod defended himself against Army to make top 8 in losers, where he lost last hit to SFAT. A fine debut for him, and here's to many more. Speaking of Army, his weekend has to be considered a success, as he earned a 9th place finish on the back of 2 upsets. He first put None into losers, then later, after making top 24 in losers, beat Hugs, who's been on a tear lately, to go against Lod for top 8, which he lost, though most would hesitate to call that a major shortcoming given the matchup and player. Army has followed up his first regional win with a swinging success at the national level, and now with the establishing out of the way, all he needs is consistency, and he'll be on the top 20's doorstep. The last thing I want to talk about is 2 long losers runs by 2 players I'm sure you know about. After all, I already mentioned one, as None, who was indeed upset by Army in round 2 pools, is also the only top 8 player I have not yet mentioned. He climbed to 7th with 5 wins, 2 to get in the top 24, then 3 more over Stockholm Syndrome, Swedish Delight, and Gatsu, an impressive list for most anyone, and certainly not himself. Then fell to Wizrobe in the Falcon Ditto, but you can hardly blame him after what he'd already accomplished. This is not the first time in recent memory something like this has happened to None, but I am in awe of his ability to wake up, start pounding, and make you forget the first loss even happened. But the most remarkable performance this week must go to KJH, who lost literally at the first possible instance, something that no other top player has done in months and months, maybe years. This was obviously a seeding error, as the player who beat him, C15, would go on to easily win the pool, but still the master of his own destiny, KJH set a new high score with 10 consecutive losers wins, capping it off with an upset over PewQU and Marth Fox to play Wizrobe for top 8. This did not come to fruition, but the accomplishment is there, and I commend his ability to pull himself out of the pit. I'm going to try and make a habit out of briefly reporting the doubles results of larger tournaments such as this, so here we go with the first instance. The CEO doubles competition was a runaway for Plup and Mewtwo King. They're arguably the best team in the world, and their closest competition was Hungrybox and Peachmane Maybe, who took a game off them and themselves only lost 1 game outside of Plup 2 King to KJH and Ginger. The top 4 was Plup and Mewtwo King at first, Hungrybox and Maybe at 2nd, KJH and Ginger at 3rd, and Wizrobe and Swedish Delight in 4th. The full singles top 8 was Hungrybox at 1st, Plup at 2nd, Mewtwo King at 3rd, Wizrobe at 4th, S-Fat and Zane at 5th, and Nun and Lod at 7th. I also briefly want to talk about Awakening 2018, this week's European tournament, with 4 of the big European talents in attendance, those being Ice over Triforce, Professor Pro, and AMSA. Professor Pro finished 5th after a loss to fellow Brit Vanity Angel in the top 8 qualifiers, leaving the other 3 to duke it out, and with 1 win over Triforce and 2 over Ice, including a 3-0, Brother AMSA won. A performance worth taking notice of from one of Europe's most seasoned veterans. The full top 8 was AMSA at 1st, Ice at 2nd, Over at 3rd, Vanity Angel at 4th, Professor Pro and Timmy at 5th, and Kellner and Frenzy at 7th. While we're in Europe, we may as well stay there to begin the dash forward as the spotlight shifts to Barcelona for Super Boo 2. Professor Pro joins the Spanish Kings triffing over here, as does weathered veteran Chudat, looking to regain a little bit of his lost mojo from last year. But the main story is an American regional, as is frequently the case. This time it's even Bigger Balc in Southern California. As if a noteworthy 64 tournament and the largest Project M tournament of all time weren't enough, EBB boasts a huge array of Melee talent. Perhaps the largest group of top players is all of SoCal that could be bothered. Mango and Lucky aren't registered, but most of the rest of the power rankings are, including SFAT, S2J, Hugs, Mike Hayes, Fiction, and Army. They go up against a number of competitors, including DizKid Boogie, who returns and comes down from NorCal alongside players like Spark, Rocky, and NMW, an MDVA delegation including Lod and Junebug, and many others, including who else but La Luna and Absent Page. There's a lot of interesting matchups in that player pool, and I'll be sure to let you know how they play out next week.